Willkommen, bienvenue, and welcome back to Tidy Tuesday on Friday with Light. Just gotta make sure we're live on all the places, announce it on the Discord, yada, 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 yada. Okay, announcement has been made. So here we are again. This time it is week 36. So if we grab our code from last time, we just make a couple of minor changes. The buds, indeed. We should be able to see pretty darn quick what it is we're up to. These are a little loud. Oh, we only have the one CSV this time. So one thing I like to make is a quiet function. And what it does is it suppresses the warnings and suppresses the messages for our library commands, such that we can have a nice quiet library that doesn't make such noise when it starts up. See? Nice and quiet. And now we can load this. It'll have bird bath data. And then we can use skimmer on this once we know where the information is. And so since it's birdbaths.csv, it's in the list under birdbaths. So we can just say our data frame is Tidy Tuesday sub bird baths. Or like so. Bam. And then skimmer sub skim our data frame. Do I have fancy keyboard shortcuts? I do. So Control-Shift-M, I found out, is for that pipe. So now we don't have to type out the whole pipe. We just need to remember Control-Shift-M, which might take as much effort as writing that pipe, but, well, so it goes. And so, once again, it looks a little meh in this layout. And so we should probably actually knit it and see how it looks in the document. This time around, I also have a separate script file. Excuse me, you gonna knit for me? There you go. I have a separate script file, the .r, such that we can separate our markdown thing where we're exploring from the script that will work more with making the plot and saving the plot. So far fewer columns this time around. We've got a bunch of survey years. Quite a few are missing. We've got bioregions and urban-rural that has the same number missing as the year. Little bit suspicious. 2 unique values for urban-rural, so urban versus rural, I would certainly expect. Bioregions, 10 different types of bioregions. That we'll need to look into that. 169 burb types, which just so happens to be the same number as the number missing from the various things. So it leads me to believe that there are rows for each bird type that are independent of the year, likely giving us summary statistics. So let's see if we can look into that. Because there is a data dictionary with each of the weeks. And so if we come in here, it should tell us a little bit about it somewhere. Pretend you understand what any of this means. Feel free to ask any question to aid in your understanding. Avian assemblages at bird baths, a comparison of urban and rural bird baths in Australia. Bird baths are a familiar sight in Australian gardens, but surprisingly little is known about the precise role they play in the lives of birds. Dry continents such as Australia, bird baths could be vital in supporting an otherwise stressed bird population. Quite so. Study involved checking data online from 2,500 citizen scientists. That's remarkable. I love that. 4-week period in each of 2 seasons: austral winter, June 24th, July 26th, and summer, January 27th to February 29th. Promoted throughout Australia to recruit citizen scientists via various communication means. During the 2 survey periods, monitored their bird baths for 20 minutes once a day, 3 times a week for 4 weeks. If they did not meet those criteria, they were not part of the data. Yeah, calm, rain-free weather. Hard to tell what birds are there during high winds and rain. Oh, interesting. So they didn't have to tell the birds apart. Because, like, how do you know if the bird you saw left for 10 minutes and then came back? You can't expect someone to be that good with birds. And so it's, did that type of bird show up? And sometimes no bird. It was not possible to capture surveys where there were no sightings present. Such surveys were regarded as highly unlikely. So you're thinking 20 minutes doesn't seem like a lot of time to look at a bird bath. But remember, Australia, it's real dry. And so any place that provides free water might just have birds there all the time. "42 bioregions." Ooh, Australian Statistical Geography Standard that defines urban areas having human populations of more than 1,000 people, while rural have less. Per how much space? I'm sure they've taken all that into account. They just didn't write it here. Okay, so if we come back here, something we are curious about are the rows in which some of the stuff is null. You have how many scientists doing this? There were 2,500 people who were quote-unquote citizen scientists. So they're people that have a bird bath. 2,500 of them were recruited to do this work. All across Australia. Okay, so what I want to know is where is this null? But how do we do that in R? I know how to do that in pandas. Is null. But is that really how we do it in pliers? So let's come in here. Range from move to cross select. Maybe it is. Yeah, seems like it is. So is dot null. That's not going to work. That is not vectorized. Yeah, that's not what we need. Are we going to apply is null to it? That doesn't seem reasonable. Really can just ask isna. Yeah, like never use that. No. It's real dangerous. This is probably what I'm looking for. Because I want the null ones, not the not null ones. Ah. This is what I'm looking for. So we filter our data on isna. That's what we're looking for. Stack Overflow, backbone of software development. Sure is. And so we send that in, then we filter it on isna of urban rural. And so these three, the survey year, urban, rural, and bioregions are null. Hey there, Knocky Moonshine. We've got a count of birbs. So I would expect that these are all the different types, because there's 169 types. And these might be the total times that they were spotted. That is my hypothesis. What do we do with hypotheses? We test them. And so now, instead of filtering on isna urban rural, we're going to filter on birb type equals Bassian thrush. It's a nice low count. Oh no, is that not how that works? Oh right, I don't want 1 equals, I want 2 equals. So 1 equals assigns, 2 equals checks. Okay, so This is clearly not the case. This is way more than 4 sightings. It's way more than 4 bioregions, I think. Yeah, it seems... Assume they're correct and roll with it. Welcome to math. So, what does that mean? Because we have the original Excel file, we have the CSV, we've got a couple of pings and a README. Oh. Oh, I think I might see. I think it might be an ID number. No, because these two are the same. Can't be an ID number. I don't see. It's a fascinatingly odd bit of information. So we've got that. Oh, right, not counts, bird count. So it goes up into the 250 to 300 range, which means it's definitely not an ID because there's only 169 types of birds. And so it's got to be data that they just didn't have clean information for. Yeah, because when they took it from long to wide, there are some that they're just not real. Okay, so df.clean. Grab things that aren't nah. So now we got stuff about the Bassian thrush. Let's say we wanted to know about the urban and rural. So we'd group by urban, rural, and then sum. Does it work just that easy? Oh, it's not just that easy. Unexpected special. That's how that works, isn't it? So you've got your data, you then group it by whatever. Then we summarize. Yeah, you can't just use base R functions. What was I thinking? And so I'm going to have to look up what we can do with that. Count-wise. Let's go with... Do you have examples? Because some of that's a little bit weird. Okay. So that's how it works. So you give it a thing, and then... Unexpected special. What? Do you not like the tab? Why don't you like the tab? Oh, that's why. They only like it this way. And so that's how we get urban and rural for just the Bastian thrush. If we want it for all of them, we take out the filter, and we should be able to do a multiple group by. Oh, but then the summary, how does the summary work? And they all have the same N now. It's odd. Oh. Why is that not doing what I thought it was doing? Oh, because it's observations. They all have the same number of observations because it's the same number of places and years. So what we instead want... Yeah, we need something... right. Of bird count. Seems to be working, and then if we add... Was it just year? Forget the name of that column. We don't have our skimmer handy. Check our skimmer. Survey underscore year. Okay, so we can look at all of those, but this is a bit much. So let's filter it by bird type again. go for the blue-faced honey eater. That's a fun name. Only has the 2 years. Is that the case for everybody? Yes. So grouping by survey year, I mean, it can show a little bit of a trend, but probably not enough to be worth graphing. So let's instead look at the bioregions. Now, there are quite a few of those. So this should be more interesting. Let's once again grab that. Ooh, let's go for the black-faced cuckoo shrike. Ah, but each of these is only ever rural or urban. So there's no sense doing both. I wonder why it's got... only a subset of the bioregions. But some of them are still 0. Nope, that's all of them. Why are there only 10? I was led to believe there were more. So they were collected from 42. Some of them were discarded, but it's saying it was conducted on 8 or 13 bioregions. But there are only 10 in this dataset. Strikes me as odd. So let's take a quick look. So we got these two. And then how do we do a distinct call? We just use distinct. Sometimes it really is just that easy. Bam. Oh, so every bioregion has both. Interesting. And so if you wanted to plot this, you would plot a bit of both, and then how do you combine those two? Because I've seen a thing where you can like plot an interval on a line graph. And so we could look at just birds in general. We could look at diversity of birds. Anybody out there in chat land particularly interested in one or the other? Because we could see how many different types of birds are observed in the different locations. We could see just the total count of birds in general. I don't know, man. Birds. We do this. Oh, right. I selected those two things. So let's select bird. Select those. Filter on bird count is greater than 0. And then group it by bioregions, urban, rural. And then summarize it with a count. Okay, so what we did, this select is not actually necessary. Let's double check that that was not actually necessary. So 70, 33, 85. Yeah, not necessary. That just dropped like one column. Not necessary. So we filtered the bird count. If no birds were seen, it didn't count. Ooh, but then it might double count by year. I still think that's fine. It's counting up how many times over those 2 years birds of a particular type were seen. And so any type of bird could be seen in an urban location twice during that time period. We group it by bioregions and then urban rural. So what that means is that you take all of the rows and then partition them by the values of bioregion and urban rural. So all of the bird rows for Brigalow Belt South rural get scrunched together, separate from Brigalow Belt South urban. And in this case, there are 70 of those first ones and 33 of the others. And so now we've got a sense of how many birds are spotted in each of the different locations, rural versus urban. And so these are different types of birds, not the raw quantity. We're going for variety, not quantity. So there are 169 types of birds. So theoretically, the maximum number you could see would then be 338. Got 324. I mean, New South Wales, North Coast. It's a lot of different types of birds. Oh, 1542. There is clearly something wrong with the way that I did this. So there's something about this data that doesn't conform to my expectations. So what is that problem? That would mean that there's more than one record per year per bird for an area. Can make sense because there would be multiple viewings of the bird, I guess? Let's examine. So since we had so many in the Sydney Basin, let's just look in the Sydney Basin. So that's a lot of rows. So they probably had a lot of volunteers in the Sydney Basin. Yeah, so for just 2014, we've got a whole bunch of Bassian thrushes. So really what I wanted was to sum up all of these bird counts. So if we take this, we group it by bioregions, urban, rural, and bird type, not bird count. We would then summarize it with a sum. Wow, absolutely nothing for the Bassian thrush. So we take out that filter. Nobody saw nothing. That can't be right. Oh. This data is kind of weird. Let's just take a look at it. So here is finally a 1. A rainbow lorikeet in southeastern Queensland. So if we just take out the filter on the bioregion, maybe no one ever saw anything in Sydney because it's a big city and you don't get no birds. Okay, so this is getting a little ridiculous. So filter on bird total greater than 0. Did anybody see anything? No, nobody saw anything. Something has gone horribly wrong. Don't know how. Oh, because it summed nothing. That would be why it found nothing. Okay, so now we've got actual small counts. Okay, so now if we take what we did before and do it here, now we've got diversity stats. And so typically urban, you'll see fewer types of birds. It's not unusual. More people, more problems for birds. But here in the southeastern Highlands, it's equal. In southeastern Queensland, it's the opposite. In the Sydney Basin, it's the opposite. Which is quite interesting. So we can now get rid of this thing that didn't really work. Clean out those. This one's still pretty reasonable. Have a good one, Naki. Thanks for being here. So now we have bird diversity, and we need to figure out how we're going to plot this information. How do we communicate how this bird diversity works? So if we go into ggplot, perhaps something will tell us how to do something resembling what it is we want. Paths, polygons, rectangles, ribbons. We can draw lines. We don't want full long lines, so we'd have to go for a segment. And then geometry points. We'd have to change the shape because we want to be able to tell the difference because which one is high or low changes from plot to plot. And we also have to make it such that for that one where they're overlapping, you can tell that they're overlapping. So we'll probably end up using a square and a diamond. That orientation will let you see both when they're overlapping with one another. Yeah. So that's probably what we'll end up doing. So we can probably start in on our plotting 45 minutes in. So we grab ourselves our two libraries. We grab ourselves data. Let's do the cleaning inline. Such that we're working just with straight up data frame. And then we put our data into a nice friendly data frame. And we've got ourselves a script. Brilliant. So now how we get it to do exactly what we want is a whole other thing. Because I'm not really sure that what we need is a facet grid. Although, we could do a facet grid with rows. If we can manage to get everything that we need in one ggplot prior to that, we might be able to do that. So we're going to try. We just take this, we do the aesthetics. So X. So now we have a bit of a problem. Because I don't see how to make it do two different X values. So we might be able to add two ggplots together. So we're going to have one of them. Oh, but we need to... Yeah, this is not quite ready. We need to widen our data such that these rural and urban are columns. Back to the cheat sheet. dplyr, how do we widen our data? We're not doing joins. Not doing intersections or unions. Pivot wider. All right, we did see this already today. So we take our summary, we pivot wider, names from urban, rural. Yeah, would help if I could spell it. Urban, rural. Values from count. Bum, bum, bum. Could not find function. Pivot wider. Excuse me? Oh, it's from tidyr, not plier. Okay. I mean, if I'm just going to use it once, there's no sense importing it. There we go. So we took it from long to wide. Now each row is a location. Each column is rural or urban, such that when we're working with it in our plot, we have much less to worry about. Okay, so it didn't plot anything because we didn't actually tell it what to plot. Error occurred because it needs an aesthetic for Y. Trouble is, there isn't anything for Y. Hey, we've got ourselves a line segment. Now the question becomes, if we change that, I don't remember my plot shape numbers. Okay, 15 and 18. Actually, 15 and 23. Actually, 22 and 23. Let's go with those. Okay, so you can fill them. That's good. And then theme void is probably what we're looking for. I don't know. That might be overkill. Maybe not. What's the trouble? Oh, I killed one of the parentheses. I don't know how the gray numbers work. I don't even know if they spell it with an E or an A. I don't even know if this color is doing anything. It's not. Oh, maybe it doesn't go in the aesthetics. Maybe it goes outside. No. Wait, I didn't update the image. There we go. Okay, and then that line goes behind. It's really hard to see. I think that line's still on top. How's the line still on top? Because I didn't re-render it. Okay, I'm going to stop putting it into this variable for now, just such that I stop forgetting to re-render it. Okay, so now the color is in fact blue. Color is in fact gray. Do I actually want void, or do I just want minimal? How do I change what ticks we see? Because these are all just types of things you can plot. Faceting position, coordinate system, scales. Because I would expect it to be in the theme, but you'd also expect there to be a shortcut for that in here. That doesn't help one bit. Oh. Yeah, that doesn't really help. Yeah, so I kind of want to just get rid of the y-axis. Just going to search for that. ggplot remove y-axis. blanket. That did nothing. Because I set the theme to be minimal before that, or after that. That would explain it. Perhaps we get rid of theme minimal. Oh, error. Okay, so we got rid of the y-axis. It's still pretty darn tall, but we can probably deal with that later. Title text, ticks. Was it the axis line that we got rid of last time? Panel grid. That's what we got rid of. Okay. Then we add, it was just saying we can't add a ggplot to a ggplot. Yeah, you can't add ggplot to a ggplot. So how do you add two sets of points to one ggplot? Well, I suppose you could change the color. Like you could change the shape. So if we made it long again, then we could change the shape based on whether it's urban or rural. So if we come here, and then we're going to have to mutate this. But how do we do that sort of recoding from a mutate? Okay, so we're doing inline if else, so mutate shape equals if else urban rural equals urban, then 22 else 23. Good, good, good. So now x equals count, y equals 1, and shape equals shape. Oh no, can't add, we know that. Hello? Y4 is shape, not shape. Let's call it grouping. Let's call it UR for urban rural. Just to make sure it's not getting confused by saying shape equals shape. Right, we set the shape here. Perhaps if we don't manually set the shape, oh no! Continuous variable cannot be mapped to shape. What? What? Okay, so ggplot. Oh, it's in the AES of the point itself. Mapping must be created by AES. That is what I've got here. Continuous variable cannot be mapped to shape. Why not? I want to give you a number. Why for do you not like number? That is clearly a continuous value. It is just a number. Weird. Okay. Don't get it. Might make more sense some other time. Size is not changing anything. Why? Because they're not different sizes, so it doesn't really care. Or it doesn't belong in the aesthetics. There we go. Okay, how do we now get rid of the legend? Because we don't want that. It's a lot of legend options. We should be able to just get rid of legend. There we go. Legend position, none. Okay. Now if we do plus facet grid rows equals and then the rows will be for the bioregions. Oops, forgot the plus. Isn't that what it's called? Yeah, it's bioregions. Vars of whatever? Okay, we are making progress. Now we just need to figure out how to get this useful text that is hidden behind the chat to be somewhere more useful, either on the left or on top. On top will probably be easier. So how we actually set those labels, their positions, I don't see in the cheat sheet. Strip.text. So this strip here. So we're looking for strip.placement probably. Inside or outside? Okay, strip.position. Hopefully that's what we need. So facet grid, comma, strip.position. And let's try to put it on top and see how that looks. Unused argument. So that's not there. Perhaps here. Strip.position is not defined. So that was in 2.1, now that we're in 2.2. But even then, so 2.0 used the switch argument. That's the margin drop. It still has switch. Okay, so that switched it to the left. Now can we rotate it? Okay, so let's go 90. Does nothing. Why nothing? That is definitely a thing you should be able to do. Color works just fine. Angle does nothing. Do I need to do something more to the strip? Huh. Text, text, text. Placement inside or out. Element rectangle. Can we do anything fun to those? Fill, color, size, line type, color. Nope. A whole lot of nothing. Okay. So if we get rid of those, now we don't have space to put the text. Yeah, like the angle totally works on this one. Oh, right, should probably that. Hmm. Yeah, that's what I was worried about. See, this should just work. Why did that just work? What? Excuse me? Wasn't this what I was trying? Not 20 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, 20 seconds ago. Oh, it doesn't do it on the left. So you have to tell it that it's Y, but on the left. Yeah, it's not what I want the legend to be. Interesting. Oh, okay. You tell me that's what you should do, and you lie. It's still there. Okay, so then we want to change the labels. So we've got the labs section here. Yeah, so we group across the years. So yeah, so it is species. I just wish I had an easy way to insert my own custom legend. Right, should probably get rid of this for the time being. Wonder if this will work. But now fill doesn't work anymore. Coincidence? I think not. Okay, so that works. And so now we can, wait, we can just use urban rural as the shape. Since they did pick decent shapes. How do we set the legend label? I mean, that should be on here, yeah? You'd think, but no. Fill. That didn't work. I want multiple encodings of the same thing. Like, can I set them both to the same thing and it'll just work? Maybe. Hey. We'll call them locale. Brilliant. So now we've got a plot. Looks okay. And so there were a couple of things that I looked into last time. And so you can get fonts from Google. So this code is from Elvira Nasarova. You can find her. Nah. I found her on Twitter. The code was on GitHub. They were the one that had the fantastic lemur stuff. And so, Jolko. On GitHub. The code's available. And so I looked into that and saw that the way we were trying to get the fonts last time was not likely to work. And so if you do it through font add Google, which I believe is from Stringer. Yeah, so we don't have it here. But it's one of these libraries. Maybe show text. Sysfont. Not loaded, so might be loaded by default. Yeah, so it's in the Sysfont library, despite I don't see it there. And so then when setting up the theme, you'd be able to use the text in the title and the subtitle and various things that are going on. So let's grab these. So it'll take a second for it to load, but any Google Web Fonts would be able to be loaded. And so we would just need to then come into our theme and set it up kind of like this. So text font, change the size, change the color. Give it a go, watch it break. Right, always redrop. Okay, so now you can see a slight difference in the font. Kind of like it. Let's try size 11 though. Excuse me? Does it not like size 11? It doesn't like size 11. It likes size 10 and size 12. So word wrapping isn't really going to do much for us yet. The next step would be what we would want the word wrap for. Also, we're going to want these as well. So the markdown is for if we want to actually add HTML to it. I don't think we're gonna, so I'm just gonna change this back to text. Family is the title font, size 1814 should be fine. Margin and justification should be the same because that one is in fact text. And then this added the annotation this way. And so I'm curious how that's going to work. And so they used glue and they used a lot of extra stuff. I'm going to just go with plain old text. And call it Australian. Bird species variety. This string wrap, now that's probably from Stringer. Yeah, string wrap is from Stringer. This is where you can tell it how wide you want it to wrap, such that when you write nice, long text, you can tell it how wide you really want it to be. Are rural areas more diverse when it comes to bird species by their very nature? Not necessarily. Here that basin has greater variety birds observed in Bath, that the urban Sydney Basin has a greater variety of birds observed in Baths than the rural areas. So there's that. The data is from Yeah, this is talking about good alt text. Give him the DOI. Let's go. Oh no! Could not find function plot annotation. That does make sense because this puts it in labs. So let's just take them, put them in labs. Why not? Okay, so now instead of aligning with the document, it aligns it with the graph. So that's annoying. So where did plot annotation come from? Patchwork. And I did it this way so that we could see exactly which libraries we need to do particular things that we want to do. Could not find element markdown. Right. Let's get rid of these. There. Now this is more along the lines of what we wanted. This title is nowhere near bold enough, but then again, it might not have actually loaded the font either. But I don't think that's Anton, I think that's Arial. Let's give this another shot. Let's... Yeah, it just does not... It does not like doing that. So what happens if we instead try that other font that they used? Let's try that again. Why? Why? It's not read-only. Okay, I'm gonna close R because it's being dumb. And then we'll start it back up. And we'll run this all again. Yeah, and the fonts just don't work. Don't know why. They just don't want to. They worked after the stream last time. I spent a bit of time just poking at it. And they worked like a charm. This time, who knows? Does make me think that one of these other packages is actually to blame. Font add Google. No, it's still... It is just sys fonts. So I don't know which of these things might be necessary for it, but it seems like a thing that GG text might help. Yes, I know you don't want to go in there. So then that makes me wonder if it's because I'm plotting it instead of saving it. No, because this looks like it would just draw it. I mean, it tries. So there's clearly something different going on between theirs and mine that is allowing the font to exist. So if I now run mine, yeah, I know the access is denied. Just do your job. Only elements of the same class can be merged. So let's save that, close it. Come on. Hey. Kill the temp. Go back in. Run it with these libraries. And see if it's one of the libraries doing the job behind the scenes. Nope. It is not one of the libraries just working behind the scenes. There is something about what I have done that makes it different. So what could possibly be different? Well, there's this line. Doesn't seem to mean much, but maybe it means everything. And so that would require this show text library. That is a different font. Okay, so let's uncomment that. I don't think I need G text, but I do think I need show text. Get those. Let's swap out the fonts. And try it once more. There we go. And so then we need to recover our titleage. The theme for the title and the subtitle. And so we had this at like 24, that about 16, and this is text. Didn't really seem to do much to those annotations. But like this doesn't tell it the family. Like that made it big, but it didn't change the font. That did though. There we go. And now we can change the word wrap back down to like 75. Let's shrink this from 16 to 14. And then we have to change the word wrap again because reasons. There we go. I'm not entirely certain why you can't use GG save to go straight to ping. Perhaps if you really want it to be a PDF, you can do PDF, but let's see. If we look at this plot, that's, let's see, we've got 1920 across the whole thing, so it's about 900 here, so it's about 800 wide by like 600 tall. Right, units equals pix. Comma. And then we should be able to go files, 36. Oh, it did not actually. Oh, I didn't set this to be. Yeah, so we need to set working directory to source file location. Then we run it. We'll delete the one that's here. Then if we come in here, there we go. A really, truly terrible image. How? How did it save it that badly? Oh, that's probably why they save it as a PDF first. I can't even imagine why that would do it. Yeah, so PDF looks like a dream. We need to make the caption text a little bigger. Oh, right, files open, can't save it over. But now, once again, if we're not working with the same dimensions as the plot over here, we need to fiddle around with the numbers. Let's grab that conversion. Using this glue function and just handing variables to it is probably a good idea. Then we can just use a template all the time. But for now, we're just gonna run it like this. Okay, so we could probably fit the word wood in there, so let's expand the word wrap one more time. And so it looks garbage over here in the plot view, but since it's a responsive sort of thing, you can't trust that. Trust this, and now that has gone too far. Ba-bam! Aw, still too far. Failed. It's still open. Still open. And there we are. A lovely, lovely graph. Took us 2 hours and 20 minutes to get there. But it's lovelier than last week's graph. I gotta say, last week's... Nope, that's not the one. We didn't actually end up exporting last week's. We just put it in here. This one is kinda meh. It's just a bar chart. Yeah, we put the numbers on the bars, but whatever. This one, it's got a little more class. I really would have liked to have gotten something between the two such that it's easier to see their relative distance, but I haven't the foggiest how to get ggplot to do that. But we did end up getting a good legend. We got some good colors. We got good shapes. We made the fonts work. We added the title, subtitle, and caption. And we learned a lot about what's possible, what's not, what's reasonable. So I'd say for 2 weeks worth of work, we've made quite a bit of progress from barely doing anything with ggplot to this blue thing to this classy-ish magazine spread sort of thing. It's still not quite there with the colors and the shapes, I would say. It's missing just a little bit of pizzazz. But it's all right. Tells a little bit of a story that I'm not entirely certain is correct. It's So if we go back to the stuff that we're doing with the dplyr, right in here, if it were my data, I would be more confident that it was doing what I think it should be doing. But whenever working with someone else's data, you have to be a little circumspect of, does it mean what I think it means? And so anytime you drop null results like this, you're like, what data am I losing? When we do this group by, it should do what I think it should do. We summarize it into a total to just see which places saw a bird across the 2 years. Filter out anything that didn't see anything. And then we count up how many different types of birds were in those two settings. So by bioregion and urban-rural, count it all up. It should mean what I'm claiming that it means. It should mean that of the 169 species, 100 of them were seen in the urban Sydney Basin. Pretty sure this goes to 0. But this doesn't go up to 169. So I might, if I were going to do anything to this chart, I might push it out to 169 such that people knew how many species there were. I could potentially change this to the percentage of species that were viewed in or were seen in any given place. That might be better. Maybe. I do like the 2 shapes and 2 colors such that you can see the Southeastern Highlands complete overlap. One thing this is potentially missing is any indication of whether you had the same number of observations at every place. Seems unlikely to me, but it's not my data. I'm not entirely certain. And there are some people that did plot this on an actual map of Australia such that you could see where these various places are. I've got some slight sense of some of these places. But Flinders Lofty Block, I have no idea where that is. Not even the slightest. So let's look it up. Flinders Lofty Block. Right here. Okay. Now this is a really cool map of Australia. That bioregion breakdown as opposed to arbitrary straight line borders. Neat. So yeah, we made some progress. There's still more to be done. But But that's why we're just continuing to do it. You just keep poking at it until you finally make something that you're like, yes, that is what I meant to make. We're not quite there, but someday. Okay, so I'm going to be done for tonight. The odds of a stream this weekend are pretty low. I've got to do stuff for my dissertation. There's just a whole bunch of errands that need to be run. So this weekend, fairly unlikely there's going to be a stream. I'll probably be back on Monday for a Music Monday stream. While we can still do those, I had forgotten that Jazz Band is going to start up again in the not too distant future, so Mondays are going to be right back out again. Potentially. It is during the school year, so the rehearsals tend to be a bit late, so it might be possible for me to warm up doing a music stream and then heading off to rehearsal relatively late. I just need to make sure I don't wear myself out completely such that I get to rehearsal and all my chops are gone. So we'll see how that goes. I'll keep everybody informed. And then Tuesday and Thursday I believe Frog will be available and we'll be doing the Minecraft again. I did a little bit of off-stream work, so we have the storage system and we can start working on other interesting things like a Guardian farm or a giant library or something or other. But thank you all for being here, and I will see you in the next live stream of Data or Minecraft or music or who knows what with light.